Hi, this is Jay Stone, the emotional nudist, emotionalnudity.com. I haven't done a video for quite some time, but I decided to do this. I actually told this story a couple of years ago, and something happened with the video. It kind of went funky, and I lost the footage. So I'm just going to tell you this story. I think it's going to take about 10 minutes. Generally, I try to do 5 to 7 minute videos. This is going to take a little bit longer because it's a great story. So just bear with me and listen. So maybe about 2 years ago, I spoke at a conference. I sat on a social media panel at a conference where Iyanla Vanzant was the keynote speaker. Now, I've been a fan of Iyanla, and just in case you've watched my tweets on Life Class and Iyanla Fix My Life. I'm a huge fan of hers, and I've been reading her books and following her for probably 15, 18 years, something like that. So her being the keynote speaker at this conference and my being a highly visible person, it gave me access to her, so I was hoping. And so I was like, I finally get to meet Iyanla in person. And so I'm planning this, and this is like months and months of planning. And what time am I going to get there? What am I going to wear? What would I say? I just had it all planned out in my head. And the night before the conference, there was this huge thunderstorm. And I mean, it took out trees, it took out power lines. Atlanta city streets were a hot mess. So I decided to get up the next morning, and I leave something like 3 hours, 2.5, 3 hours ahead of the time I was supposed to be there, just so I could navigate and negotiate traffic, power lines, cut through back roads, whatever, to get there. And then it started this comedy of errors. So the first thing is, as I'm going, and traffic is horrible, and I've got to go back streets that I've never been before. I'm trying to use my GPS, but it's not even picking up all the streets. And finally, I get to a point where I recognize where I am, and I kind of cut through, and I'm talking to my girlfriend on the phone, and there's 3 W hotels here, 2 in Atlanta, one in like Midtown and one in Buckhead. And I get to a certain location, like Far Road and Peachtree, and I realize while I'm talking to her that I'm headed to the wrong W hotel. And now this time I'm probably 25 minutes away. So I'm headed to the wrong hotel. I get to this light, and my car, I drive a manual stick shift. My car starts to like grind and act funny, whatever. But basically, the clutch kind of went out right there on the 2 guys jogging, right? Can't tell me that chivalry's not dead. Chivalry's dead, right? These 2 guys stop their jog. They realize what's going on with me, and they push my heavy, and I drive a Nissan Maxima. They pushed my heavy, so I had to leave the car. I had to call the taxi. The taxi was like 30 minutes late instead of 20 minutes. And so I'm just sitting there. And so by the time the taxi driver gets there, I am hysterical, screaming, crying, just, and so he goes to like open the back door. I was like, no, I want to sit in the front. So this poor man, he's got all of his stuff. He's got his food. He's got his laptop. He's got everything sitting in the front seat of the taxi. And he has to rearrange all this to put me in the front seat. Now, this is my mindset. I want to be in the front so I can see, like that's going to help me get there faster. I mean, but this is what's happening when you're just like distraught. And I call a different girlfriend on the phone, and I am crying like a 5-year-old. Just, oh, I'm going to miss Iyanla. And then it went into the, I just got a butt whooping cry. I can't believe I missed. And so here's this gentleman, and he's a little bit older, the taxi driver. He don't know what to do, right? He's like, I got this black woman sitting in the front seat of my car crying, and I don't know if somebody think I did something to her. I didn't kidnap her. So I'm so hysterical when I finally get to the W hotel. And I'm trying to tell him which way to go, right? Like he don't know the city streets better than me. But this is me trying to, I guess, have some type of control over the situation. Now, mind you, for years I've practiced the philosophy that whatever is supposed to happen will happen when it's supposed to happen, and you just have to go with it. Now, for years I practiced the philosophy, but trust me, when you are broken down to your core, this stuff kind of it tells you where you are, really. you spiritually. So when I get to the W Hotel and the valet opens the door and they start with the, hello, how are you? Welcome to the W. So he goes, hello, how are you? Well, because I'm just blue, right? And he's like, okay, let me just not talk to her. I gave the cab driver so much more money because I didn't even want to wait for a change. So honey, he got a huge tip that day. And I go running and I get to the auditorium because I'm figuring I can at least get the like last 10 minutes of speech. And I get there. And the panel that goes on stage after Iyanla was up on the stage. And I'm like, I missed it. So I find my friends and I'm trying to hold myself together and I'm still. So I asked her, I said, so how was Iyanla? She was like, I don't know. I must have missed her too because I didn't see her. And then the announcer stands up and says, hey, I know you guys are anxious to see Iyanla. She's running late because of the thunderstorms and the power was down, but she'll be up shortly. Okay, so after all that, I hadn't missed her. So I decided, let me go to the restroom and get my makeup together and dry these, dried tears on my face. Let me just like regroup. And I walk out the door to go to the restroom, and standing there is Iyanla Vanzant and her son. And I have a chance to have a brief exchange with her. So now this whole little scenario, it's really about divorcing our negative mindset, right? So when you have this negative mindset, it takes years and years and years to divorce yourself. And even after, I thought that I was divorced, I found out that I'm just legally separated. Because this is when when you still have work to do. When things fall apart and they're all beyond your control, what do you revert to? What mindset do you revert to? What thought process do you resort to? Right? And in that moment, when I was broken and hurt and stressed to the core, I could not resort to my thinking process that I've worked so hard to adapt for the last few years. Which means that I still haven't rooted it, you know what I mean, in my spirit and in my thinking. And so I like to think that this was a couple of years ago, and I'm in a much better place now with it. But this is also a testament to the fact that we have to continue to do the work. Even when we think that we've conquered something, we have to continue to do the work because something is going to always present itself in a way that's going to challenge you to understand whether or not you have actually conquered it or if you're just separated. So I'm Jay Stone, emotionalnudity.com. This was my story of divorcing the negative mindset. I hope you enjoyed it. I promise this time to do more videos. Talk to you soon.